Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
You don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens...
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Trump has been so consistently all of those things: racist, sexist, xenophobic, autocratic, and fascistic for so long now that even everyone who's kind of resisted that language, now it's not even that you apply it reluctantly. You apply it because there are no other words.
Well, you now have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
He is inciting hatred, inciting violence, inciting racism.
There is no difference from what Donald Trump is preaching from what Adolf Hitler preached in the early 30s. Let's just say it once and for all.
He is Mussolini, Putin is Hitler. I said that back then, and I believe that.
Trumpism is something akin to a fascist social and political movement.
In America, that we finally have a proper conversation about the F word. No, not that one. Fascism. I know, it's really controversial. People get very uncomfortable when you mention it. But to borrow a line, if not now, when? And if not us, the free press, then who?
The thing that is so disturbing about the entire thing is not that Donald Trump is a fascist, and not that Donald Trump is an aspiring autocrat, but is that the response to all of that has only gotten more intensely positive in his crowd. Right. And whether Donald Trump wins or loses this fall, those people and those views that they cheer and they embrace in Donald Trump, that slice of the electorate will still be here. And that is why I keep saying over and over again, the man is dangerous, but he is a symptom and not a cause.
I began my career as a journalist covering Lebanon's second civil war and its history. And I'm terrified to find myself ending my career as a journalist covering America's potential second civil war in its history.
You really believe that?
Yeah, I think what happened in the last few days is a 6-alarm fire. I think it's DEFCON 5. The President of the United States has told us either I win the election or I delegitimize the election. Those are your choices, folks. And he basically is trying to break people's will to really get people to say, what the heck, he wants it so bad, just give it to him. I think this is certainly the most frightening moment in my life. It's frightening because of him. It's frightening because he's backed by a state-owned network. And it's terrifying because the Republican Party has become basically a political brothel that rents itself out by the night to whoever will energize its base, whether it was Sarah Palin or the Tea Party and now Trump. This is a party that went into its convention with no platform. No platform, and basically said, whatever Trump wants, we want. If you're not frightened now, if you are not terrified for what could happen, it's not we might have a disputed election. It is we are going to have a disputed election, almost certainly, unless Trump wins, in which case I shudder to think what 4 more years of this would be like.
Welcome to the War Room, and you see right there, it's a complete and total meltdown, and here's why it's a total meltdown. They know they're losing now, and they're going to lose by a lot more as we go through this. This is the establishment. This is the globalists. This is the people that have led to the managed decline of this country. These are the ones that kowtow to the Chinese Communist Party. These are the people that believe in the Thucydides trap, that we're the declining power, that China is the rising power. And they've done everything in their power to work against the deplorables and to work against working class people in this country. middle-class people, and they can't close. They can't close with their, not just their arguments, their actions. It's been stripped away of how phony they are. And you're going to see Black Americans and Hispanic Americans, Latinos, I think in record numbers, particularly Latinos, Hispanics, I think vote for President Trump. I think in the Black community, you're going to see a record number not vote for Joe Biden. So we're going to get into all that today. You're in the war room. It's Friday, the 26th of September, the year of our Lord 2020. I think we got 38 in a wake up. Here's what's important today. We always tell you tomorrow's news today, the signal, not the noise. That's what we pride ourselves in. We've been beating this drum now for a couple of months on exactly what the Democrats are trying to do. I want to thank Madeline Peltz and the folks at Media Matters for doing such a good job of following us. But I want to be specific, is that our argument, we hope, is not incoherent. And if you took some time, we'll try to put the coherence in there and kind of paint by numbers. Here's the point. Donald J. Trump is going to win a big victory in the vote that matters, and that's the game day vote. That's the real vote. That's the secret ballot where everybody shows up. And we know how important it is now because Axios, the corporate lobbyist arm of the media, has broke the story yesterday. The DNC's in complete panic mode because they understand that game day is the important day. So now they're shifting everything. Bloomberg, it's $100 million, $16 million for the phone. They're all trying to get people out to vote. But here's the problem. They've used their social media apparatus. They've used their mainstream media apparatus. And they, for the last 7 or 8 months, have traumatized their low information voters because they did not do evidence-based. They didn't do science-based. They didn't do data-based. So now they have an electorate that's traumatized and doesn't want to go out to vote. They want to vote through some other mechanism. Unfortunately, that mechanism leads to a lot of fraud and misallocations all over the country. You're seeing ballots from Pennsylvania to Wisconsin to California, ballots flying around, because that's not the 5 or 6 million ballots that traditionally go around. They're talking 60 to 80 million. And so now the language that they're using, because President Trump's talking about continuity. He's not talking about transition because it's not going to be a transition. He knows he's going to win this, and we're getting ready for a second term, getting ready to execute and implement a second term. They need to be talking about transition. This is all phony narrative. They take the nomenclature and try to weaponize it. Okay, understanding that's not working. They're in full and total meltdown. Raising the rhetoric. He's Hitler. He's evil. He's dangerous. They're all trying to get enough momentum by the mainstream media to try to strip the victory away from Donald J. Trump. I want to thank John Fredericks Radio Network, Real America's Voice, Dish Channel 219, also Comcast Chicago 113, and of course Newsmax TV, G News and G Media in GTV in Mandarin. And I want to thank the guys at G News and GTV for making this a global show, particularly in Australia and other places that started with the expatriate Chinese community. Now we have large audiences everywhere. I want to thank you for all of that. Understand we're a little maniacally focused now on the run-up to this election under this pandemic, but the reason is it's an important event for everybody in the world because we're either going to find out whether we're going to continue to remain to take on the Chinese Communist Party and confront it on a daily basis in a second Trump administration, or kowtow with Joe Biden and his financially compromised family that is basically in business partners with the Chinese Communist Party. I want to turn to Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey in Washington, D.C. I'm live in the financial capital of the world, New York City. Guys, are we on the brink of a civil war, as Tom Friedman tells us, and all the snowflakes over the mainstream media that are in complete and total meltdown, as they start to see this massive shift in momentum, particularly for the vote that counts? That's the game day vote.
Steve, I certainly hope not. We've talked about this before. A Civil War II promulgated by the Democrats a second time would be an absolute disaster for this country. This would not be two separate geographical areas coming together at a line of battle. This would be chaos. And I can assure the progressives in the cities, you will be the first victims because the lights, the water, and transport will be the first things to be cut down. I think it is incredibly irresponsible for the Democrats to speak this way. I think that they should be condemned at every moment to even talk about American citizens taking up arms against one another. This is, to me, the height of irresponsibility.
Yeah, I just want to say before we go to Raheem, too, Mitch McConnell, his team ought to get focused on American history. He said, hey, we've had a peaceful transfer of power since the republic was formed back in the 18th century. Note to Mitch in your speechwriting staff, when Abraham Lincoln took the oath of office in March, the 16-week interregnum they had between elections. Back then it was longer. That stopped during the Roosevelt administration. 7 states had already seceded from the Union. And one of those states started firing on federal property down in Fort Sumter, South Carolina, 30 days after Lincoln was inaugurated. So no, that was, I don't, your definition of peaceful transfer of power is kind of broadly defined. I don't consider states that actually union, all Democratic controlled states. People got to remember, Lincoln wasn't even on the ballot in the South. Okay. That's what they thought about the Republican Party. And that's what they thought about then candidate Lincoln's platform. He wasn't even on the ballot. Okay. They seceded from the Union. Mitch, come on, dude. You're from Kentucky. You're supposed to remember American history. It's kind of 101. Raheem Kassam, let's bring in our British cousin here to put it in perspective. English had a civil war under Cromwell. American had a civil war, right? Well, we certainly don't want a second one. Have you ever seen the progressive left is in a total meltdown? And ladies and gentlemen, remember, it's only going to get worse as you get closer to game day when the polls, all the real numbers of who's going to turn out the vote, shows that Trump's going to win big. There's already things in place. There's no way they're going to steal it. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to steal it with the media and the lawfare and the street mobs. We've gone through that. We're going to go through it every day. Gave a big speech last night to thousands of people online. And they're not going to win it in the House of Representatives. And every day when Trump's president in his second term, they're going to be doing the same thing. But Raheem, talk to me about this rhetoric. Talk to me about this concept they're trying to put forward now of a civil war to gin up their base.
Well, can we be very clear about something? There wasn't even a peaceful transition to power in 2016, let alone, going back further. And Mitch McConnell and his staff just show how much and how out of touch they are with the America First base that elected this president by failing to acknowledge that. The details that have come out in the Federalist yesterday, and President Trump stood up there on the stage last night talking about, I think he read through some of that Federalist article, looking at how the state, how the machinations of the intelligence complex within the United States work to prevent a peaceful transition of power. And we haven't even had a full transition of power from 2016 all the way up until today. That's just a fact. But here's what I want to get into as well, is this Madeleine Peltz thing, this Media Matters thing. And I love that we're living rent-free, as I say in a head. But Steve, you have something different to say about that, right? You want to charge rent?
Rent-free. I think we're charging them now, right? Come on. This is Matt. By the way, respect Madeleine. We're glad she watches the show. We try to make it entertaining for her. But go ahead with your analysis.
Well, here's the thing. She called what we're talking about incoherent, right? With no signs that they had actually watched one of our full live streams yet. There was no quotes, there was no links, anything like that in their reporting. So I guess it's just opinionizing on the Media Matters page, which is a shame, I think. Because actually, if you watch it, and if you watch what we said last night and you go through the detail of this thing, I'm not coming up with information. I'm using the information right here in front of me from the Transition Integrity Project. I'm using the information in Ballot Battles by Ed Foley. And you want to talk about incoherence? Let's get into this. Let's get into the third way's plan inside Trump's war on the vote. This is the incoherence, and the incoherence is coming from their side. Here's the thing. When I make a claim, I back it up. We get into the detail on this show. When Third Way and their PowerPoint document makes a claim, it's just a claim. There's no evidence, there's no links, there's no citations, there's nothing like that. So I think Madeleine Peltz needs to go and take a hard look at her own side to find out who's being incoherent as far as it comes to the steal that's taking place here, Steve.
No, but listen, I want to go to the third way. We're going to put this up now that we've got everybody's attention throughout the country. You see every day they're coming out. Katie Tur had the critical path yesterday over in MSNBC. We'll get that up later. Third Way has got this analysis of the 4 steps. We're going to get into that in the next segment. But listen, I think what it is that we walk through and counter this every time with just facts. Look, here's the fact they got to embrace. They're going to lose.
We'll go to a quick break. Let's go to a quick break, and we'll get into the how it's going to go after the break. Bill McGinley, will be joining us later on this hour. Stephen K. Bannon, Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam, live from Washington, D.C. and New York City. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life.
They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to Readers.com. With hundreds of styles to choose from, Readers.com has reading glasses hard to find in stores, like bifocal style readers, reading sunglasses, and computer readers. Choose from hundreds of fashionable styles and colors for under $20, all backed by our happiness guarantee. Go to Readers.com now and enter this exclusive TV coupon code at checkout to save up to 40%. That's Readers.com.
My son needs this drug. I hope it doesn't cost too much. I hope my insurance pays for it. Can you tell me how much this will be?
67.
Sorry. Wait, have you heard about GoodRx?
GoodRx finds free coupons to help you save up to 80% on your prescriptions.
Wow. I had no idea.
GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
If you remember, Hillary Clinton just a week ago or so told Joe Biden, do not accept the results of the election under any circumstances. But you don't ask her that question. You only ask me the question.
When Donald Trump says that he is not necessarily going to accept the will of the voters, he's flirting with treason. He's saying peaceful transition of power doesn't matter to him. All that matters to him, once again, is Donald Trump and whatever Donald Trump wants. And for Republicans, once again, to step up, these Republican senators, to enable him in that, to support him in that, and to start to talk about the November 3rd election as if this isn't about voters getting their choice, but it's about Supreme Court justices getting their choice, means that they are a party to it. And that means to me that come November 3rd, we need to hold them all accountable. And when I say hold them all accountable, I mean Donald Trump. I mean those Republican senators. I mean those Republicans up and down the ballot. And we need to not just beat them by a little bit, the idea that they can go litigate when it's close. I mean beat them big. That's what we got to do.
In fact, one poll found that only about a quarter of Biden supporters would vote in person on Election Day, while some 2/3 of Trump voters plan to vote in person. In other words, if Trump can undermine people's confidence in the validity of votes cast by mail, he will be calling into questions the validity of votes that may overwhelmingly support Joe Biden. Let us consider the following scenario, a scenario which I hope very much never takes place. On election night, Trump is ahead in many battleground states based on the votes of those who voted in person on election day. All across the television screens, people see Trump ahead before they turn in for the night. But as more and more mail-in ballots are counted, Trump's lead falls.
Bernie, thanks, Bernie. I want to thank Bernie Sanders' staff for cribbing the notes from War Room Pandemic. Yes, here's the operant word there, and this is why it's very important to get nomenclature right, Mr. Raheem Kassam and Jag Maxey, and our hashtag War Room Pandemic posse, and also the live stream, is that, then you wouldn't have the Republican senators acting like cucks this morning, right? Absolutely, Bernie. Here's the problem. You nailed it. Your numbers are right. It's anywhere from 69% to 75% of Democrats were traumatized by CNN, MSNBC. So Rachel Maddow, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, take a bow, right? You guys did this. You did it to yourselves. And now in Axios, you're trying to pivot and get people out to vote. The get out the vote apparatus, and I can tell you already from our detailed knowledge of what's happening inside the Democratic campaign and on a state-by-state basis, which we spend a lot of time analyzing and talking to people, because of union situations and quote-unquote, they're so afraid of CCP virus, COVID-19, there's no ground game. You're not going door to door. You're not knocking on doors. There's no ground game. You don't have an apparatus set up. The Biden campaign's a total and complete organizational disaster. Big donors know it. People know it. That's why Bloomberg wrote the $100 million check at the last second. Bernie said it. 75% of Democrats don't want to vote on game day. 67% of Trump people are going to turn out and vote on game day. Okay? That is a bold red fact. And that's what Bernie's talking about at about 11 o'clock or midnight when people decide to tuck it in. Not going to have to stay up to 2:30 in the morning. Going to be able to put it to bed early, right? Because the bold red fact, let's call it the red predicate, okay? The red predicate is going to be an overwhelming Trump victory late in the evening of the 3rd of November, okay? And then through all these phony, let's just talk about it. It's the validity is the problem. The validity is the problem. And Bernie, check the FBI. They're looking into Pennsylvania, the military vote they tossed away. They're looking to the bag of mail in Wisconsin. They got these things in California. Okay, the system's not set up to do all of this kind of, a vote that can't be certified, Bernie. Let's go back and talk about the Democratic Party. This is where we kind of got the idea for this whole thing back in May and June. And your primaries run by Democrats, right? The voting was way down. But most importantly, 30% of your vote in Brooklyn was not certifiable. 20% in Manhattan, not certifiable. Okay? These votes are going to be uncertifiable, sir. You have to embrace the suck. You overplayed your hand. You traumatized your base. You lied to them that you actually, these are low information people. You didn't give them science. You didn't give them evidence. You didn't give them data. You traumatized them. That's why they want to hide inside, and they don't want to come out and vote. They're not going to come out and vote. And those 60 million votes you're sending throughout the country, it's ephemeral. There's not going to be any blue shift, okay? It's not going to be any blue shift. We're going to have Bill McGinley at the bottom of the hour to talk about it. But that's why all this talk about civil war is all heating up. You know why? It's just like what happened with the Democrats in 1860. Why did Lincoln say later at the Gettysburg Address about that we have to prove if self-government can work? Because the Democrats, the Southerners, just took their ball and went home. Mitch McConnell, when Abraham Lincoln took the oath of office, 7 states had already seceded from the Union. That's not a peaceful transfer of power. And I agree 1,000% with Raheem Kassam because I was there. And by the way, if you read the text messages yesterday, finally the reporters again, the FBI was trying to entrap me, McCabe. They're like texting back and forth. We're going to the White House. We think we got Bannon too with Flynn. Guess what? You don't. You didn't. McCabe, you're just a grundoon, right? And dismissed that day. I think you remember correctly, Mr. McCabe. And dismiss Mr. Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey. Thoughts, observations. You got to get War Room Pandemic Posse. Last night at the Young Republicans National Federation, we had the largest live streaming audience they've ever had. The national tour is on fire. I'm going to thank the folks that put it on here in the next segment, but I got to tell you, we're having talks with these audiences, and these young people are fired up. They're going to the barricade. It's the worst news the Democrats ever had. Embrace the suck, Tom Friedman. We're not going to have a civil war because we're going to win. Okay? Raheem Kassam, Jack Maxey.
You know, Steve, there's an article in the Washington Post today talking about the security envelopes in Pennsylvania, and they have Lisa Dealey, who's the Democratic chairwoman for Philadelphia, which we know is an incredibly important voting area for Pennsylvania. We usually get 90 to 100% turnout in some of those neighborhoods. Well, she's now saying that this security envelope is the worst thing ever. It's going to lead to tens of thousands of votes being cast aside in Philadelphia. And she says it's a statewide problem. There are 16 other states that have this same issue. So I don't think that they have confidence right now, and I think they're sweating it. Just like you said, they got to get people to the polls.
Yeah, but let's get the nomenclature down. One of the important things we do here is nomenclature, process, critical path, to give people mental maps of how they got to think about things, or how one of the ways that it helps them frame it or process it. Is this the naked ballot? Is this naked ballots you're talking about? Naked ballots?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, explain what a naked ballot is and why the left is now in absolute complete meltdown over this.
Well, essentially, Pennsylvania, along with 16 other states, you get your mail-in ballot, you fill it in, but then you have to put that ballot inside a security envelope that is meant to protect your secrecy in the ballot. And then you put that envelope inside another envelope, which is the one that receives the postage, et cetera, and gets sent to the back to the Elections Commission. But very many people are not putting it inside the security envelope. They're just dropping it in an envelope and sending it in. Well, if it's not in a security envelope, it immediately gets discarded. And they're having a very big fear about this in Pennsylvania because they've seen this happen in other elections where as many as 6% of the votes were thrown out because they weren't in the security envelope. So we're talking about in 2018. And if this replicates statewide in 2020, it means big problems, particularly if their Democrat base is all going to be voting by mail. So it's definitely something to watch.
In the woke capital of the universe, Brooklyn, okay, 30% of the votes were uncertifiable. 30%, 20% in Manhattan. Democratic Party, that's what you brought on yourselves, okay? This is what you brought on yourselves. All of those ballots are going to be uncertified. You're not going to be able to generate by the, voting by the pallet, voting by the pound. Let's come in and weigh them. We got a back the truck up, right? We got another shipment of ballots. Not going to happen. We've got poll watchers. We're going to have election officials. We got lawyers. It's not going to happen. If it's a real vote, it counts. If it's one of these vote by the pound on a pallet, guess what? Naked ballot. Not going to count. Sorry, too bad. Just like the Democrats did in the primary, 30% in Brooklyn, 20% in Manhattan. In Madeline, that is the essence of coherence. Mr. Raheem Kassam.
Steve, how are you spelling naked?
Well, there was N-E-K-E-D.
It's with an I.
See, I spell it N-A-Y-K-E-D, naked. All right, we're going to go to a break very shortly. I do want to mention as well, Steve, today the president will be unveiling this platinum plan in Georgia, which is sure to get a lot of attention. Bloomberg and the Washington Post are reporting on it this morning. I do have some exclusive details about that we can get into over the course of the show as well. I can say it will answer some of the questions people have had about where this Antifa terror designation sits currently. We'll be back with more details as the day goes on. I'm hoping that the president doesn't cut into the 3 p.m. National Pulse show, although, given some of the details in this plan, I wouldn't mind. It's exciting, and the momentum, we'll get into the polls on this specifically. Jack Maxey's got some great details on the BLM polls as well. After this break, Stephen K. Bannon, Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam. War Room Pandemic returns in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress toppers, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, only $29.99 with your promo code. With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose.
Sleep well, America! For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept.
I really love the towels. They're really great. They're super absorbent.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work. And listen to this. Use the promo code on your screen and Mike will include a second full towel set with bath towel, hand towel, and washcloth absolutely free. That's 2 MyPillow towel sets for the price of 1 in your choice of color.
I personally guarantee they're going to be the best towels you'll ever own.
Order now.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
So after that safe harbor day where the delegates are chosen, and we can put the timeline of events up on the screen, this is where you say things can really go off the rails in an unpredictable way. You game out scenarios that take it all the way up to Inauguration Day where Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi could all make a claim to hold the office of the presidency. When you game out these scenarios, is this in your mind the worst case scenario, or are these becoming likelier by the day?
Well, the problem is the distance between worst case and plausibly likely is very uncomfortably thin right now.
That he plans to try to steal this election, and he's saying it very directly. He's telling us exactly how he plans to do it. That we should all assume that given the coterie of enablers that he's surrounded himself with, some of those people are very smart, and they're very creative, and they're very ruthless. People like Bill Barr and others who work on his campaign, they are thinking about every angle There's nothing that we could say on television that's not occurred to Donald Trump and his coterie of enablers and fixers and the hacks around him who are trying to figure out all the ways, all the nefarious ways that they can go about stealing this election. And I just think that if this is going to be a battle in the post-election period, a legal battle, a political battle, a battle of public opinion, a battle that potentially will involve people protesting in the streets, I think it's better for those who care about free and fair elections to have as clear a vision of what might happen in all of its ugliness so that they go into this battle for the principle of free and fair elections. They go in armed, intellectually armed, armed with awareness of just how far this president will go. I think there's a better chance of us having, in the end, a free, fair, and accurate outcome of the election if the people who are fighting for it know what they're up against.
Welcome back to the War Room, Friday, the 26th of September, year of our Lord 2020. I think it's 39 and a wake up to a game day. When Donald Trump puts up the bold red predicate you're hearing on these cold opens, the complete and total meltdown of the establishment. And I'm not trying to heckle him. I know today I feel actually pretty cheerful. But what we're trying to do is actually guide them to a safe place so that they can, start to work through these issues, understand that Trump is going to win on game day. He's not going to allow the lawfare or the media or social media or mobs in the street to steal this election from the American people, to thwart the will of the American people. What's happening, you're seeing it all the time. They've traumatized their base. They're not going to show up to vote. They can't close on black males. They can't close on Hispanic males. You're seeing the numbers shift. The Platinum Plan today, we'll get into a lot more detail of that in 11 o'clock hour. Another bold move by the Trump White House to really reach out to the black community and start talking about what's most important. Guess what it is? Economic nationalism. You got it, baby. So right now, Joe Biden, this guy's got nothing to respond to. So what they're trying to do is raise the rhetoric of civil war, raise the rhetoric of chaos, raise the rhetoric of non-peaceful transition. It's all coming from them, and here's why. After 4 years of this, they understand now they're not going to take the presidency from Donald J. Trump. I want to bring in Bill McGinley now, one of the smartest guys in regards to the details of these topics in the country. We've had him on for the last several months talking about this issue. Now everybody's talking about it. We were talking about it months ago, and one of the reasons was guys like Bill McGinley said, hey, here's what's going to happen. Let me walk you through this. So, Bill, I want you to just take it. You're bringing up so much interesting information every day when I'm talking to you. I want to just give you the floor. You walk through where you keep this thing going. Talk about some of the details of some of the small things. We pride ourselves in the signal, not the noise here. You've done such an amazing job of really alerting the American people to what's going on. Sir, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. It's great to be with you. One of the things that I want to say is that if you actually listen to what John Heilman and some of these other reporters are saying and the liberal groups are talking about, they talk about chaos in the streets. They talk about a ballot apocalypse. They talk about a lot of things that are immediately after Election Day leading up to December 14th when the electors are scheduled to meet. What they never do is complete the sentence and actually talk about what would happen if we end up in a situation where no candidate gets 270 electoral votes for whatever reason. Either there's dueling sets of electors certified by one state or multiple states. The results are inconclusive in a state because of a meltdown like we saw in Carolyn Maloney's primary election in New York, or I believe there was also an election in Philadelphia where because of the missing ballots and everything else that happened, complete breakdown in election administration, that they weren't really able to decide who won, any number of different scenarios. They never complete the sentence by talking about how the House procedure would work, which the Constitution under Article 2, the 12th Amendment and the 20th Amendment vests the House with the authority to decide who wins the presidency in case we end up in either a deadlock or there's complete breakdown in election. And so everybody kind of talks about these timelines and glosses it over. So why don't we take 2 seconds and let's go through the framework, the timeline framework that federal law and the Constitution lay out for how this gets decided. Obviously, the last day to vote is November 3rd, right? Once November 3rd comes and goes, no further votes can be cast. The universe of ballots is set. There may be some mail-in or absentee ballots that are received after Election Day under some of these court rulings or state law that may be counted. But let's just say November 3rd is the last day that you get to vote. That tees up the time period from November 4 to December 14th. And this is the time that federal law and the Constitution contemplate that the states, under their established procedures, under their established counting procedures, recount procedures, and election contest procedures, that they're going to ascertain which set of electors received the greatest number of votes, whether they're the electors pledged to Joe Biden or to Donald Trump. The date that everybody is focusing on is December 8th. December 8th is what's called the safe harbor deadline. If a state has an election contest and they're able to resolve it by established procedures, by December 8th, federal law talks about that the vote totals and the electors selected will get basically a conclusive presumption. Nobody knows what this means because it's never really been tested, but federal law does build in a presumption that the electors that are certified by December 8th, if the contest is complete, the recounts are done, the tallies are complete, the governor then will send a certificate of to the archivist describing the form and manner by which the determination was made. That brings us to December 14th, which is when the Electoral College delegations vote. They typically meet in the state capitals. Each elector casts two separate ballots, one for president, one for vice president. After those votes are complete, then certificates of the vote are created, paired with the certificate of ascertainment, and they're sent to the president of the Senate, who is Vice President Mike Pence, the secretary of the state in which the vote happened, the archivist, and one to the U.S. District Court in the district in which the electors meet. Now, if we have ballot apocalypse and a complete meltdown in the process due to an election contest, and the state is not done figuring out which candidate received or which set of electors received the greatest number of votes by December 23rd, then the vice president, who is the president of the Senate, is supposed to request these documents, the certificates of the vote and ascertainment from the state and from the archivist to say, hey, basically, we need a complete record of what happened in this presidential election. Now, on January 3rd to January 6th, this is when the new Congress is sworn in. I think it was the 20th Amendment where they changed inauguration date and the date that the new Congress is sworn in from March 4th, which it had been from the founding of the Republic, back to January 6th for the counting of the electoral votes, or January 3rd for the swearing into the Congress, January 20th for the inauguration of the president. Also provided that the new Congress is the one that should open the certificates from the Electoral College of the votes from the several states, tally them, and then declare the winner of the presidency and the vice presidency. Now, what happens on January 6th? Let's say for whatever reason, there is a complete meltdown in the process in one or more states. It's still tied up in the courts and litigation. It's maybe gone up and down to the Supreme Court. There's no clear winner because you may have a pool of ballots, the number of which are greater than the margin of victory or apparent victory of some candidate. And there's just serious questions about which candidate or electoral college slate won the vote in that election on January 6th. Okay, they start opening the ballots from the various states by state. They do it alphabetically, so you start with Alabama and you move through the different states, right? And let's say that nobody gets 270. What happens then is under the 12th Amendment, you trigger what's called a contingent election. And that means that the House of Representatives is to immediately take up the question, who should be president of the United States? Now, under the Electoral College, the 23rd Amendment gave the District of Columbia the right to vote in the Electoral College. They get 3 electors. But when it comes to a contingent election in the House, the District of Columbia is not a state and is not eligible to participate. So you go to the 50 states. Each state gets 1 vote. So California, the most populous state in the nation, gets 1 vote. Montana, that has only 1 representative in Congress, one of the least populous states, gets 1 vote. So California and Montana have equal votes in this scenario. It's spelled out in the Constitution. Why do we think that the Democrats and the media don't want to talk about contingent election or go through why this process may not advantage Joe Biden. That is because Republicans currently control 26 state delegations. They have the majority right now. Democrats control 23, and there's one delegation that's tied. That is the state of Pennsylvania, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And so one of the reasons that they don't want to talk about, look, the Constitution provides a framework. This is how it can be done. It was done in 1800. It was done in 1824. There's precedent. And so if we're not able to produce a clear winner, we're going to kick it to the House of Representatives. They know that they've got a serious problem. One of the reasons yesterday I saw a headline that caught my attention. There is, in one of the battleground states, a district in Minnesota, one of the districts that President Trump won in 2016, but that a Democrat took over in 2018, a minor party candidate suffered a tragic death. They made a change to Minnesota law so that if a candidate dies or is disabled in close proximity to the election, they basically cancel the general election on November 3rd and punt the general election to, I think it's February of 2021. That means that seat from Minnesota is vacant on January 6th after the new Congress is sworn in. Minnesota's delegation right now has 8 total members. 3 of them right now are Republican, 5 are Democrat. But when you eliminate one of those Democratic seats, it goes to 3-4 in favor of the Democrats. The big issue is that one of the other Democratic races is currently ranked a toss-up election. That is the Minnesota. That is the district held by. Excuse me, I can't remember who it is, but it's a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's up in the Iron Range. Very important point you're making.
Up in the Iron Range, very important. But it is ranked a toss-up, right? Which means
Bill,
that
Bill, we got to go to a commercial break. Just hang on. Bill McGinley walking you through a TED Talk on what the reality is of why President Trump understands why he's going to have a second term. We're going to return with Bill McGinley on the election. The ability of the Democrats to steal it from Donald J. Trump. Return in a moment.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck. When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain, and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something. If you can find something to help you get back out and be active, like Copperfit, go for it. Absolutely. Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
These ballots are a horror show. They found 6 ballots in an office yesterday in a garbage can. They were Trump ballots, 8 ballots in an office yesterday in a certain state, and they had Trump written on it, and they were thrown in a garbage can. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, and we're investigating that. It's a terrible thing that's going on with these ballots. Who's sending them? Where are they sending them? Where are they going? What areas are they going to? What areas are they not going to? When they get there, who's going to take care of them? And so when we find 8 ballots, that's emblematic of thousands of locations, perhaps.
Emblematic of thousands of locations. Pretty good framing. This is what the left is going to have to understand. We are never going to allow a bunch of uncertifiable vote by the pallet, vote by the pound ballots, these phony false ballots, count against real votes, game day votes, okay? Game day votes. So that the bold red predicate at about 11 o'clock Eastern time, that bold red predicate, which now all the media is in full meltdown on, we're not going to allow the will of the American people to be thwarted by really people who want to do everything in their power to play smash mouth, to try to steal this election from Donald J. Trump. I want to turn back now to Bill McGinley, one of the smartest guys in here. Last segment was absolutely brilliant. Bill, once again, I'm going to toss the ball to you and just run with it.
Thanks, Steve. So based on the last segment, we talked about the timeline and the process that if we end up in the ballot apocalypse, this could end up in the House of Representatives, who is vested with the constitutional authority then to choose the next president. We also just talked about how this isn't one representative, one vote process. Instead, the state delegations will get together and meet, and they will be entitled to cast one vote for president. So what does that mean? That means that we need to start looking at the partisan makeup of the various delegations from each of the states to decide, is this something where the Republicans are going to control a majority? Do the Democrats have an opportunity to pick up a majority? And right now, as it stands in 2020, Republicans control 26 state delegations, meaning they control the majority. Since it's 50 states, 50 possible votes, 26 gets you to the majority. The Democrats control 23, and there's one jurisdiction, Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that is currently tied at 9 Democrats and 9 Republicans. So what are the states that we could be watching for? The first one, as we discussed in the last segment, is Minnesota. Because the election has been delayed in one of the competitive districts until February, and that Democratic seat will be vacant on January 6th, when the electoral votes are open and the House may possibly have to vote on president. There is a competitive seat that is ranked a toss-up, meaning that it could go either way, and that's Minnesota's 7th congressional district. It's important to note that this is a district that President Trump won in 2016. That means the Republicans do have a shot if we can put together the coalition of voters and they turn out to the polls or cast their absentee ballots for the president and the Republican ticket. The state of Iowa currently is 4 total House of Representatives, delegation of 4 to the House of Representatives, the Democrats have a 2-seat advantage. It's currently 1 Republican to 3 Democrats. The issue the Democrats have is that 3 of their members are ranked in competitive toss-up elections. Iowa's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd congressional districts, all districts that President Trump won in 2016, are currently ranked toss-ups. And these are districts that the Republicans could flip to now give them a majority in Iowa and take it out of the Dem column and put it into the Republican column. Virginia's in the same boat. Virginia's got 2 competitive elections, some would argue 3, but 2 of them are Virginia's 2nd and 7th congressional districts. President Trump won those districts in 2016. The coalition can produce Republican members and flip the Virginia delegation from Democrat to Republican. And of course, Michigan, which is developing into one of the hardest contested races at the presidential level. Let's not forget Justin Amash, Representative Justin Amash, who was a Republican, went against the president on impeachment, left the Republican Party and declared independent. The state of Michigan has 14 total representatives. There's currently 6 Republicans, 7 Democrats, and 1 independent, Justin Amash. That race has been ranked likely Republican, which means if things hold the way that they are right now, and Republicans can pick up Justin Amash's seat, he's not on the general election ballot this year. That means that Michigan goes from the Democratic column over into tied. So what does this all mean? As we talk about all the minutia of the election contests and the ballot litigation and everything that's going on, all of them incredibly important topics that the American people need to understand. You also need to understand what a contingent election is and how the Constitution provides the framework for the House of Representatives to settle and decide who will be president of the United States. It is counterintuitive because most Americans will look at the House of Representatives and say, Democrats have a clear majority, and that Speaker Pelosi is always going to fight tooth and nail against whatever benefits President Trump. But you need to understand the details that the Constitution provides for resolving these disputes, and that is that state delegations matter. That means Republicans could win based on the information I just gave you. Republicans could flip only 7 congressional seats, and as a result, take 4 state delegations out of the Democratic column and either put it as tied or flip it to Republicans. This is, I think, why the media doesn't spend a lot of time talking about contingent elections. The framers anticipated this after a couple of hard-fought contests, amended the Constitution to provide for this framework because it was not unforeseeable that we could have an extremely polarized, close election where the People's House will have to step in and actually settle the dispute. And if you look at the basic numbers, if you look at some of the races that are up for grabs, for example, the Dirty 30 that Jason Miller used to call them, these were the 30 seats that
guys, we got
that Democrats
30 seconds here.
The Democrats flipped. If we could take those back, we control the delegations.
Bill, we got to go. We'll put your what's your Twitter handle? We need all the already blown up online. So tell us what your Twitter handle is.
At WJ McGinley, and it's at WJMCGINLEY.
You're a rock star. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back. This is the first time anybody's walked through that here in War Room Pandemic. The first time for Bill McGinley, who's been months ahead of this entire operation. We're going to return in just a moment.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's ultra soft outer layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.